Her name's Raquel.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we're going live. All right, everybody. Hey, good evening. Kris Pate here from the class of 87. Got my co-host here as usual, Steve Rodriguez from the class of 86. Tonight's special guest is the original OG himself, the man that led the 1984 team to the Final Four, Bayshore graduate, current entrepreneur. I don't know what else to say, but we're going to get into it with JD Edwards. JD, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm good. I appreciate you guys offering me this, but it'll be a fun night. And I did not lead them. I was just part of everybody trying to get to Lakeland. That's how that goes.
Get to Lakeland, that's right. And we should mention, as you probably will, all the names of the OGs. You know, Harvill, Cox, Santiago, Heston, Kenny Brown, Mike Kendall, Scott Swisher, Jackie Myers. I want to say Brian Rogers. Was he an OG?
Yep.
Okay.
But, I don't have to name him. You just did.
There you go. There you go.
No, it was good. You know, how I got to Bayshore is kind of weird. I mean, I'm in Dade City right now in a bakery, but I moved from here 10th grade, and my dad worked in Tampa for like 10 years. He's like, I'm not driving anymore from Dade City to Tampa every day. So when you get done with junior high, back then was junior high, you're gonna go to Tampa. Thought I was going to Hillsboro. My mom signs me up for a basketball camp. I said, I'm not going. I'm not going. So I didn't go the first day. And so Valdez called. I didn't know who this guy was. So he called and goes, hey, you know, your son didn't come. Let's try and get him there tomorrow. He's like, well, he won't come. He ain't coming. But I went the next day, met Valdez. Everything was fine. You know, I ended up going to Bayshore. So that's kind of how the story goes.
Well, you know, the legend of the story is completely different as it gets passed down through the years. Because the story that I heard was that you didn't show up the first day of school and Valdez called, but you didn't show up the first day of the Bay. What did he call that camp? Basketball School of Champions, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I went. I'm like, and I'm from Dade City. Honestly, I really had never been in a church before, to tell you the truth. These people are crazy. I'm not going to school here.
Hey, good evening. Kris Pate here from the class.
I don't know what Pate's doing there. It's more old man technology problems.
Sorry about that.
So
go ahead, John.
You know, one thing led to another, and so my mom and dad were like, "Yeah, you go to Bayshore," and I was like, "That's fine." You know, the guys that were in the camp were going to be on the team, so that's kind of how it all started. I really bonded with JoJo. I don't know if you guys, you know, if you personally know JoJo, but we really bonded. And personally, I could not have asked for a better running mate at the guard position, basketball-wise and friendship-wise. We just kind of understood each other, you know. And,
JoJo, John, in 84, you were first team All-State. In 85, you and Santiago were both second team All-State.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he was a great one.
And I would gladly give up first for second if my running mate could be on there with me. And that's what I always said. It was such a blessing to have him, and you know, just during the years, and it was a lot of fun. We had a blast on the court and off the court, as well as with Mike Kendall, R.I.P. Man. You know, it just broke my heart that he passed away, and Danny Strickland as well. But yeah, it was good times. We had a lot of good times. But it was weird for me at first at a Christian school, I have to be honest with you. But we learned, you know, I adjusted. Things ended up going well, very well. Off the court, you know, what can you say about the teachers there and the fellow students? Great examples of what you should do, you know, and I kind of caught on to that as the years went on.
Who was your favorite teacher? Who?
Cathy Jordan for sure.
Mrs. Jordan.
Yeah. Listen, we couldn't have been further apart, but somehow we just clicked. We clicked.
Right.
She was a great example for me, because when I left here, there were many years, me and my mom and dad, I lived in their house, but we didn't really talk a lot. You know, I didn't see things their way. They didn't see things my way. And so when we got to Bayshore, it seemed like everything just kind of gelled and everything came together as a family, you know, and basketball wise as well, but more importantly as a family. And by the time I graduated Bayshore, they were our chaperones for our senior trip, and they were chaperones for my prom. Because all the other kids, and they loved my mom and dad. I mean, they were good people, you know, and
Yeah.
it's just funny how that whole thing played itself out through the years.
Well, that's one of the things of Bayshore is it's a big family. And a lot of times that word is thrown around a lot. Every program says we're a family, but it truly was at Bayshore. I know Kris probably felt that way about his crew, the Brandon crew that transferred in the 87 team.
Right.
And you mentioned all your guys, and you mentioned Miss Jordan. I had her for Bible one year. I had Mr. Cray the other, so I certainly remember Miss Jordan. What do you tell us a little bit about that first season? So you sign up because you love that camp with Herman. You like the guys, your running mates. Tell us about that first year at Bayshore.
Well, everybody's just trying to get to know each other, you know, and we haven't played basketball before. I really didn't want to be there. We had a great team in Dade City. In junior high, we were we were 18-0 and 18-1 in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
We were scoring crazy amounts of points. I mean, we were scoring 80, 90 points in junior high. And we didn't really run offenses, though. We would just run and go. We would press, transition baskets, you know. But when you went to Bayshore, you guys know, you better run that offense and get in them offensive sets and know what you're doing, you know. And I didn't know what I was doing at first. And so it was a adjustment for me and for JoJo as well, and John Harvill and Kenny, you know, Kenny Cox and everybody. The one thing I remember, though, is I don't know if you guys know Marty Adams or Kevin Clifford.
Yeah.
They were seniors. They really had never won. When we started winning, I just felt so good for those two guys.
Sure.
You know, Marty would come in and everybody knew their role, but big guy. Marty was a big guy. And he'd come in, bang around, get his 5 fouls, play some defense, and then he's gone. We'd use him up. But you feel good for those guys who struggled through their career, and then at least for one season were able to have a little success, you know, win-wise.
That was the first thing about 82, 83. So this is the original gangsters, 82 through 85. We've got the king of the OGs here with John Edwards, and he's talking about some of his running mates. And Marty was before you, so he was a senior when you came in.
A senior. Yeah.
They were terrible. I remember the classic Tampa Tribune article about the whole Bayshore story is the original. Valdez moves to Bayshore. It's like a full prep section. And he mentioned, Marty is mentioned in that article, they were 5-17 the year before.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we're ranked, we're 5-17, yet preseason we're number 9. It's good. Yeah. So the pollsters knew Herman was coming, and he had all you guys with him. Tell us a little more, and as I interrupt, I apologize.
No, you're fine. And, you know, you just felt good for Kevin Clifford and Marty Adams because they had struggled and went through, the things they went through. And the things I had to learn was just because you're tired doesn't mean that you're tired. You learn that from Valdez, you know, and that fourth quarter comes, you can continue. You got to keep grinding. And we beat a lot of teams in the fourth quarter just because of conditioning. And it was a mental thing. And at first I had a hard time with that. But if something went wrong as a point guard, he always blamed me. And he told me before, he pulled me aside and said, I may go off on you, even if it's not your fault, but you need to learn just be able to accept it. And I said, all right, coach, as long as I know that, I'm good with that, you know? Right. So it seemed to work that way. And then years later, he told me something else that, you know, that was pretty cool. You know, that he was like, well, if I yell at you, I can yell at anybody. And that was kind of his reasoning for it. And I totally understood it. The thing I missed, even now, is after practices, sitting in the locker room for an hour, just talking. Yeah. Just hanging out, not even about basketball, just the camaraderie.
Yeah.
You know, Scott Swisher, you know, all of us, we were all in there. Anthony Bolito was in, you know, there's just so many names. I can name everybody, but, you know, I missed that part of it. You know, I miss playing, obviously, but I miss just my teammates, and I would do anything for my teammates then and now. Once you're family, you're always family, man. You know, whether it's Bayshore or bloodlines. And I really do feel that way about my teammates. And somebody else that was a big impact was Mary Brown. Like me and her and Miss Jordan hung out.
Mary, we hope you're watching, Mary. We hope you're watching.
The three of us hung out all the time. And I couldn't have asked for two better people to hang out with away from basketball than those two. Just great examples, of how you should do things and how you shouldn't do things. And that's how they led their lives. And it was just wonderful. And then you bring in on the basketball side, Coach Valdez and Coach Dibble and Mr. Noriega and Coach Sam. I was blessed to be able to learn from those guys, not only how to play basketball, but how to live your life. Because they were definitely examples on the court and off the court for sure, And even when things got heated, they always kept their composure. They always didn't let it get out of control. And in Dade City, it wasn't like that. It would get out of control, before I came. So that was nice. But, we're learning new offenses. We're learning game situations, what you do with 5 seconds and you got to go, 3/4 length of the court or the whole court. I'm learning basketball and it was wonderful. I really enjoyed that. I was soaking it all in from 4 of the best coaches, that I've ever had.
Sure. So you've mentioned your great friends, one including Mary Brown. You mentioned one of your favorite teachers, Miss Jordan. You're talking about with Vic Noriega, Coach Sam, and Coach Dibble. You're talking about a Valdez Mafia that is unmatched for any coaching staff in Hillsborough County. The 82-83 starts off 15-1. That seminal Tampa Tribune article talks about, or as the Berkeley prep coach. I don't know if he's related to Joe Finlan. His name was Bill Finley. And he says, who have they played? They've played nobody. You guys swept Berkeley that year, I think, or at least split with them, and it sort of set the tone for a new rivalry. But they weren't the ones that knocked us out of district. We were ranked top 10, and we were upset by Temple Heights. Do you remember what went into that? Because that was a surprise loss, wasn't it?
Yeah. One thing it did do was wake us up for the next season. Sometimes you can read the paper a little too much, and we were young. We were all sophomores, and I feel like that's kind of what happened. But it woke us up in the off season. We worked really hard. Mentally we had to get right. And plus it was a year under the offense. Defensively, everything was a little more comfortable come that first off season or that first summer. We kind of already knew, we weren't learning offensive plays and inbounds and we knew it all. Well, we didn't know it all, but we knew the offense, you know what I mean? And
right.
It was just a lot easier as far as offensive sets and things in that second season.
Well, you guys, first off, there's the open gym experience on Tuesday and Thursday nights prior to travel basketball. That's sort of, you're laughing already. That's one of my first memories of you. But you guys had summer camp as well at University of Florida. You got invited to prestigious BC All-Star Camp. That's how you used to get recruited, was BC, ABCD, Prep Stars, 5-star. But you started laughing about that Gator camp. Tell us the story.
No, I laughed because you said open gym. And, I totally forgot about this. But there was a custodian there. And his name was Manuel?
Manny.
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 The English back then.
I used to always ask Manny for a key. I'm like, I need a key to the gym, Manny. He's like, I can't give you out a key. I can't give you out a key. So finally, he gave me a key. If I couldn't sleep or something at night, I would go to Bayshore like 2 a.m. and just go shoot around.
Everybody, that's right.
And until you just said that, I totally forgot all about it.
Manny, when I was there, Manny could barely speak English. So if he was saying he couldn't give you a key, that was probably the most English he probably could speak. He was the greatest. And Valdez could only talk to him in Spanish. So you'd be walking on the red top and they'd be talking only in Spanish. You're like, what the heck are they talking about? But yeah, it seems like every alumnus has either broken into or gotten a key to get into.
Now, listen, I was legal. I had a key. I didn't.
Is that what you're going to tell the cops at midnight? I'm legal.
I would have said it was unlocked. I would not have got Manny in trouble. Okay.
That's right. Yeah, got to take care of Manny. Got to take care of Manny.
That first season as well. We were at a game in Evangel, and every one of us fouled out. We had to call the game because you have to have two people to inbound a ball.
Sure.
Once that last person, next to last person we were done. We were down to one. So you can't inbound the ball, the game ends.
Seems like there's been some strange shenanigans over at Evangel.
Well, another one, we went to their gym one time at Berkeley, and they came to our gym. So we thought it was a away game, and they thought it was a away game. There was one night we didn't even play a game.
That's fun. Hey, guys, I'm getting some comments online. First, Scott Swisher says that you played soccer as well. Did you play soccer?
No, Scott Swisher played soccer. I just kicked it to him, and he took off. Don't let Scott fool you. That is not true. I would kick it to him or Jackie Meyer, and then they take off and do what they do.
And then Mike Blocher, I'm not really sure Mike wants us to comment, but he put it online. Mike, Kendall, and John Blocher stayed after practice one day after they graduated and threw me naked into the gym shower. And Andy Olivieri was shooting free throws at the other end of the court. Did that really happen?
I plead the fifth. That was more Kendall. That was more Kendall, but I plead the fifth.
I'm with you on that with Mike Kendall. Very good. So 82-83 finishes unbelievable, 22-5. We teach Berkeley a lesson as to who's going to rule the roost in 1A9, but we get upset by Temple Heights, which by the 1990s, losing to Temple Heights, obviously you have to give up your Bayshore card. But back then they had football guys. They were very good at sports. So you come into 83-84. You went to summer camp with the Gators. You've been to the all-star camps where they use recruiting. Nowadays it's travel ball, but back then all those all-star camps did it. And so 83-84 is the first school Final Four run. The first thing I want to ask is about Kenny Brown. Kenny Brown, I always thought had graduated, but in preparing for the show, it looked like he moved to Texas. If Kenny Brown stays, is he a big difference in that Final Four game against Corciani and Kendall Acres?
That's hard to tell. I mean, he would have gave us some more post presence than what we had. Could run the floor well. Would have got some transition baskets. Do we win? Hold on, an ambulance is going by. Do we win? I don't know. Corciani had a great game, was a great player. I don't know if we overcome that. But yes, we would have been a little bit stronger. He was a great talent. You know, I was surprised. I think we were all surprised that he left for whatever reason. But, you know, you're stuck with what you got. And we still had a pretty good team going into my junior year. And we just kind of, you know, Steve Heston came in and kind of took Kenny's spot, if you will. And it was a nice, my junior year was a nice little run basketball-wise, for sure.
Yeah. Heston, of course, came from originally Spencer Memorial with Jackie Myers and Scott Swisher, but he ended up at Hillsborough. And the newspaper, the Tribune back then, reported that he had a knife pulled on him. And that sort of led his parents to consider returning to Christian education at the time. Of course, you got Kendall coming back. You and JoJo are the backcourt to wish for. But each of you had, I'm getting to Harvill. You're exactly right, Kris. Each of you had a moment during that season. It really starts off as the John Edwards show. JoJo has some moments. Towards the end of the season, Kenny Cox is scoring double figures, really helping us. Harvill had perhaps the best game against Plant City. And the Plant City game was an early season loss, 62-60 at Ramey Arena. Do you remember anything about that game from the 83-84 Final Four run?
Well, the sad part about my career is I remember the losses. The wins I really don't remember. You know, I don't know why that is. I remember the losses. Yeah, that was a heartbreaker. We played good, but I will say it was kind of like the Temple Heights game. We're like, okay, we can play with anybody. All these people say we can play with anybody. You know, we lost the game, and I'm not into moral victories, but we were like, okay, we might be better than what we actually think we are. If we work hard and continue to buy into what the coaches are saying, and we work on what we need to work on, we might have a pretty good team. And I think for me personally, that's when and as a team, that's when we kind of first realized, okay, we might have something. We may have something.
That game had Bavel Cruz from Plant City. That's a famous Hillsborough County basketball name. Another guy by the name of Joe Williams. I actually played Pee Wee football with Joe Williams. That Plant City team was really good. It was not the Horace Broadnax state champion of 2 years before, but it was a 18-win Class 4A team when there was only 4 classes. So 62-60 at the buzzer. They hit a bank shot at the buzzer to beat us in Ramey.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate that.
I'm sorry. Well, this is an oral history of the. So we turn the tide into the new year. We're sort of like 9-5 or 10-5, something like that. Y'all go on. You win like 11 of your last 12. What I remember from the second half of the season, and here's my question, was there's a huge article in the newspaper about the Berkeley Prep rivalry. Berkeley Prep has a guy by the name of Russ Lowry who also banks in a buzzer beater. I think it was the same week as Plant City to upset us. And then they come to Ramey Arena, and the crowds, this is the first news article that actually speaks to Bayshore's crowd. And I don't have I think I have the article up on my screen, but it talks about the fans ripping the Berkeley banners down. Berkeley fans being escorted from the game. And perhaps the greatest original fan sign from Ramey Arena, up on the walls behind the fans, it says, "Save an alligator, kill a preppy," talking about Berkeley Prep. You guys won that game by like 20 in the midst of winning 10 out of 11. Tell us how the second half of that season goes as you're heading towards the Final Four.
The first half, we actually, we had some injuries we were trying to overcome. Coach was piecing together, some players and things we were struggling, but we had some injury. When we started getting healthy, and it was night and day. Our defense, our full court press led to a lot of transition baskets, and that's just from playing the passing lanes, knowing where you're supposed to go on rotation, so it ended up doing very well the second half of the season when we had everybody. And, you mentioned people like Anthony Valito and Scott Swisher and some of these guys. Everybody knew their role. And I thought the coaching staff was very good at making sure everybody knows their role. This is what you do. Don't go out of that realm. Just stay. If everybody does what they do, if you're a post and you can't dribble, don't try to run it down on a fast break. It sounds pretty simple, but when you get in a game and your adrenaline's going, you want to do some crazy stuff, stay within your realm of what you do. And I felt Scott Swisher would come off the bench. He's a good defensive player. He gets some steals. He could rebound. Same with Anthony Valito and some of those guys. When they got in there, Joe Plant, we didn't let down at all.
Yeah, we forgot to mention Joe Plant. That's another one of the OGs, the original gangsters. Some injuries. We piece it together. We get to the second half of the season. You win 10 of 11. You get to the Bay Conference, which I also didn't remember because it didn't happen when I was in school. It was the top 4 teams, the 2 in the East and 2 in the West. And you played the second place Keswick, who was ranked 4th. They're 24-4, and you beat the living daylights out of them. Yeah, you win by 20 pretty easily. Yeah. And then you rematch in the Bay Conference title game. And people forget, because we think of you guys as royalty, as Mount Rushmore. So you're thinking it's got to be Bay Conference title as well. But Shorecrest snuck up and grabbed that Bay Conference title. It was the second time we played them, and now we're 0-2 against them. Do you remember much from that game? Do you remember did your parents go? Your classmates from school? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we had a good following, and we were loud and obnoxious, to be honest with you, our fans. My mom and dad were the worst, so they would get into it. But you had like Mr. Plant, he would go to all the games. Mr. and Miss Lacini, they were John Lacini's parents. Oh, yeah. Mr. Blocher, you always heard him saying something on that first row to the right where you first walk in the door by the bathrooms. Always there, always loud as could be. But yes, we had a great following, and it was just a lot of fun. We would sell out. Back then the stage didn't have that wall. So they
Right.
could go just put chairs as far back 15 deep. And, it was crazy. It was just packed. It was a great atmosphere. JoJo's family, they would always dress up as like warriors and go to mid-court and just.
That's right.
There's no other way to say it. They would just taunt the other team, That's what it is. And it was just a great atmosphere, it really was. And I always felt, all right, these people came to see me, and I felt like this in college and in high school, even in junior high. If they're going to come see me play and they're going to pay money, I'm going to give it all I have every night.
That's
Whether
right.
I'm hurt or not hurt, I'm playing. And I tried to do that because people could go do whatever they wanted to do. And I would tell everybody, these people came to see us. Let's go put on a show, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's a great stuff. I've forgotten about that. JoJo Santiago, his family dressed up as warriors. That is a classic. And Pate, about that, the fans, because the 87 team, it was sold out every night. The fans up against the stage where there's a wall now, you could put bleachers up there as chairs. So
Yeah.
you
Oh yeah, Steve, you were there because you're the craziest, most psycho fan that ever lived. But yeah, I mean, we had packed the Arabian Arena out. We had people underneath the baskets that would be scurrying away like cockroaches as the ball came one way, and then scurry back as the ball went the other way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh yeah, great stuff, man. Absolutely.
And so, and all those fans, you play Shorecrest. After the Shorecrest game, you go to districts, and we roll through districts. You humiliate Berkeley Prep, which brings joy to everyone by winning the rubber match with them. And then you beat Frostproof. Frostproof had future Dallas Cowboy Alvin Harper. He was a sophomore. They had Bryant Glover, who played college football. They had beaten Livingston, Chapman, and Lakeland Christian to play you guys in the district title game, and you advance. And the rematch is with Shorecrest for a third time. We're 0-2 against them.
Now that Frostproof was overtime. That was a crazy game.
Really? I didn't think it was that close.
Yeah, no, it was a close game, 58-52.
Gotcha.
Alvin played a great game, which he always did. He's just a great athlete, and Glover as well. Alvin goes on to have a great career, football wise, but yeah, that was a tough game. Somehow we came through it, and if memory serves me right, we lost to Shorecrest 3 times in the regular season.
Yeah, that may be. Yeah.
It was 2 regulars and in a Christmas tournament, I want to say.
Right.
And so it all was coming down to, we've lost to this team for 3 times this year, what are we going to do? Are we going to step up? This is the one that counts. This is it. The loser's done. So,
right.
It ended up going our way, and that was a good thing.
Yeah, it was the win was 60-47 in the regional final.
Yeah.
And back then it went district, region, section. I think now it's district, regional, semi, regional final to get to Final Four. So you win the region, and now you're advancing against a regular top 10 team every year. They had been to the Final Four twice in the previous 3 years, West Palm Beach Kings Academy, and you get them in Ramey Arena. So 83-84, first Final Four run. This is the game to go to the Final Four. What are your memories from that night?
Man, it was just crazy, and probably one of the intense games I've been a part of, because there's so much on the line. If you win that, you're going to Lakeland, and that's everybody's dream. Like, if you play high school basketball, your dream is to go in Lakeland and play in the Final Four. And so we knew that it was coming down. We knew they had a great post player, and it was back and forth. And I got a steal, and I went in for a layup, and this guy, the big guy, comes up behind me, tried to take me out on the layup. And when he come down, unfortunately, he hurt his ankle.
Yep.
And listen, I love to compete. I did not want to see anybody get hurt.
Sure.
If we beat you, I want you to have your best. I want to have my best, and let's just see who wins. I've always been like that. I don't want somebody getting hurt, So unfortunately, he was out the rest of the second. He came back in the third, and he gave it a shot, but you could tell he was just limping, and the coach did what he thought he needed to do and pulled him out. The kid wasn't very happy. He pulled him out, but you could see he was definitely limping, but we went on. I want to say it was 70-55. Something. It was about 15 points, something like that.
You're understating y'all's dominance. The newspaper article from the Tribune, 72-53 was the final.
Wow.
And so then Ramey Arena just goes nuts when that final buzzer goes off.
I bet.
So I see you guys are, always voting for who's the best and who's this, and that's good. But the thing that we're prideful of, and we knew it at the time, we're not the best. I would say we probably are not the best team. We were a team, though. I don't feel like we needed me or JoJo or John, but all together, I felt like we were pretty good, But we're the ones that started it. We even knew at the time. We're like, I feel like this is something special. We all did. Like it's going to continue for years and years. And I don't know why we felt that way. There really was no reason to feel that way at that time. But we really did. We were like, I think we're starting something here. Let's go out and just do the best we can. And let's see what happens, And so we were proud to be that first team to get there. We really
let me interject and say
somebody win it though. We need to win it.
That's right.
Anybody. It doesn't matter.
I do want to say I had you ranked higher than Kris did.
Well, I gave my reasons, and
oh, you're good.
The only reason I had you guys ranked so low, JD, is because first of all, the guard play with your team was phenomenal. I would say you couldn't take any other team that had the same level of guard play through all three guards, and you guys primarily ran a 3-guard set, with a point guard and 2 swing guards. See you play live, so maybe it's a fallacy on my part, but I just didn't feel like your big man play was as strong as some of the other teams. But as far as guard play, oh my gosh, man! I mean, with you and JoJo and John Harvill, I played a lot of pickups with you a little bit afterwards after you graduated. With John, I played a lot in the summer and on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And JoJo the same. So just phenomenal guard play on those teams, though, man. John, what you averaged about 17 points a game from the point guard spot. So
yeah, I appreciate it. Everybody got their opinion, and it doesn't bother me. We made it. We came up short. I just want somebody to win it.
That's right. We were just making lists. I want to jump in and say I want to jump in and say this because Mrs. Jordan has just joined the show.
Really?
And so Mrs. Jordan, I don't know if you remember me, I had you for Bible a long time ago. John Edwards says you were his favorite teacher. John, say hello to Mrs. Jordan.
Miss Jordan, I love you. I'm glad me and Miss Jordan talk, we text. We're very close. She's like my mom.
That's great.
She got me out of a few situations. Let's say that.
Just a few.
Oh man.
But yes, that was a great run. The night at Shorecrest was amazing. We packed that place out. They packed it out. They had to turn people away ticket wise. I remember that. But we finally got them. Then we got the home game at Ramey Arena, and then the next is trying to get to Lakeland.
Yeah.
The Corciani game. Chris Corciani it becomes the ACC's all-time leading assist guy at NC State. He has an NBA career. He was just a freshman, but that team was coached by. So you have Coach Valdez, who's a Tampa Mafia legend, and then you've got for Kendall Acres for Miami. Kendall Acres, Corciani's coach is Lenny Rosenblum, who played for North Carolina. So the amount of basketball fame in that game was really unprecedented. It was a tremendous run. You never forget your first love, and that was that first Final Four run. So we move now to 1984-85. It's your senior year. The expectations could not be higher. I want to give you a little John Edwards story. When I transferred to Bayshore, it was your senior year at the end of basketball season, and I'm walking out my first day with Chris Patterson because my schedule at Providence was different than at Bayshore, so I had to take some classes with sophomores, and I was a junior, so I was walking out with Patterson. And he says, all right, I'm going to show you that guy right there. He says, JoJo Santiago. He says, John Harvill. Go through the list. And he points at John Edwards. And Johnny says, all right, look, that dude's the best basketball player in the school. Notice how he's got his collar up. He's got his gold chain on the outside. He ain't wearing no socks, and he's got like one of those slip-on shoes on. That's what you want to do to get the girls to like you. So that is what Chris Patterson said. And then Mike Blocher said the same thing. Mike Blocher said he emulated. Mike didn't use the word emulate, obviously. Mike Blocher said he copied your gold chain outside the elevated polo shirt collar. Tell us about your style and the girls before we get into 1984-85.
Well, the style, I didn't know I was a trendsetter, I guess. I have no idea. In the ladies, there's really nothing to talk about. It was just at Bayshore, it was, I feel like, coming from Dade City to Bayshore, it's just a different world. It's a different world. As a young guy, I didn't know the Bayshore world. We talked about that at the beginning of the program. But it was people like Miss Jordan, and we talked about Mary Brown, people like that you go, okay, these people are different. And now by the time my junior year is done, you're like, I want a little bit of what they got. It's pretty cool. You know what I mean? And it was very nice. I mean, our manager, like Chris Erickson, Denise Ballans, and Beal was her last name. Cathy Beal were our man, and they were the sweetest girls, and they did everything for us. I'll never forget those three. They did stats, they got water, they did everything. They were the best, and it's just people like that by the time I'm a junior, I'm seeing what's going on. It's not all new anymore. I'm part of it. And Bayshore, for me, was a special place at a special time, and it changed my life, and that is the beauty of Bayshore. It didn't change my life basketball-wise, because I would have tests speeches. I would write the speech, but I was not getting in front of people to talk. And I know I did radio for many years. I did radio at USF basketball, but back then, if I wasn't on the court, I didn't have a lot of self-confidence.
Let me give you another Chris Patterson one.
Okay,
we're walking across the red top. It was probably the same conversation. And he says, John Edwards, he knows the words to all those songs he's singing, but he can't remember his Bible verse.
That's true. You can ask Miss Jordan that. You can ask her. That's true.
Oh man.
Miss Jordan can let you know that is very true.
Yeah. So
it was a great time, man. I didn't want to go there, and then by the time I got there, I didn't want to leave. I was just all the teachers, administration, all my coaches and fellow teammates. It was just amazing. It really, and you knew
absolutely.
I knew it was a special place at that time. Like a lot of times you're somewhere, you look back and go, that's a special place as you look back. But I knew it then. I knew it at that time. In real time, I'm like, this is a special place for me. And it's changed my life with some decisions I've had to make as an adult that I probably wouldn't have made had I not went to Bayshore. So it was just a very cool place.
Yeah.
And basketball at the time was a big part of my life, but it made it where you have to keep it all in check. You got to enjoy the journey, and it's all about people to me. And I still am that way. It's the journey.
You and Kris is all of the alumni. What I've been struck by in reaching out to people, get videotaped to reconnect, is how good they are and how nice they are and how decent they are. Yeah. It's really wonderful. Virtually every player you talk to says, listen, man, I don't know that I want to come on the show because it's about my teammates. It's not about me.
I agree.
And that's really been everybody. I got another John Edwards. This is so I still want to talk about 84-85 because there's high expectations. But you and I played baseball together that year, your senior year, and you would drive over to Palmacia to practice. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah.
I use this word, I use this line that you use to this day around my children. I didn't even think of it till we were preparing for the show. We went to that 7-Eleven. I don't know if it's still there. Bayshore people
every day to get a coolie.
Right. And so they make the coolie, the Slurpee, whatever, and the guy hands it to you. And we all got out of the car with you. And I'm like, I'm riding with the legend, John Edwards. Oh my God. And they hand you the Slurpee and you look at it and you go, hey man, do me right. You wanted more Slurpee. And so since that day, my whole life, when I feel like somebody's shorting me, like I'll be in a restaurant, whatever, I'm like, hey man, do me right there. Do me right now. Do me right, bro. That is directly from John Edwards.
That's the Dade City in me. Do me right, man. It's a coolie. It's not a Slurpee. It's a coolie.
Coolie. Okay. And sometimes you'd have baseball practice like at 4:00. So we would go into the gym and play. I don't know if you remember this, 2-on-2, me, you, Harvill, whoever.
Yeah.
We would still be in school pants or baseball. We'd put on baseball pants, play 2-on-2, then hop in the car to go over to Palmacia and practice, always stopping to get the Dade City coolie that I've now learned. But
right.
Switching to 84, 85, high expectations, preseason number 2 ranking, high expectation of a Final Four state title run, not a Final Four run, but a state title run. Out of the gate, 4-0, you play Plant City, which is now a very good Plant City team, at Plant City and beat the living daylights out of them, 84-73. Got a new center by the name of Bernard Staley, 6'7". It looks like at that moment, and Harvill had another great game, it looks like at that moment, we're not just going to go back to the Final Four. We're going to win the state title and slaughter everyone in our path. Tell us what happened in 84-85.
84-85, man, you just keep bringing them up, don't you? Well, we were competitive. We went to Plant City, played a great game. V-Man had in the post was solid, and that was really his first test, as a Bayshore player. And everything went well that night on the campus of Plant City High School. That's for sure. They were ranked number 1 in the state at that time, and very talented team. And we had a good night. We had all kind of come together, and it was, man, one of the better nights for us. That's for sure.
Yeah, they had a couple of guys, Chester Coffee, Peyton, these guys. Gosh. Chester Coffee, John Belk, and Bernard just destroyed Belk. So we're out of the gate dominating. What do you remember from 84-85 that we know we get to districts and it's Lakeland Christian that stands in the way? What happened along the path? Were there injuries? Were there academic issues? Were there any chemistry issues? Do you think the expectations were simply too much? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I felt like for the 85 season, 84-85, that some people after we beat Plant City, I felt it was a little entitlement, I think, which is natural. At that age, you just went to the Final Four in Lakeland. You just beat the number 1 ranked team in 4A. There's only 4 classifications. But we got to Lakeland Christian and just came up short against a good team. And of course, my buddy Lennox and Chapman, so it was a difficult night because you knew as a faith warrior, you were done. I mean, I knew personally I was going to play in college. So I had that, but it wasn't going to be a faith warrior, on a court. I'm always a faith warrior, but I wasn't going to be that on the court. And that's what made it just devastating to me, because everything I learned so many lessons from playing Kris Corciani that I could speak to you for an hour about. But playing him really helped me develop my game mentally, like as a mental aspect. Really changed the way I looked at basketball, to be honest with you. And 85 just wasn't there. We ran up against a good Lakeland Christian team. They were a little better on that evening. And hey, you only play one game. They just need to be better on that one night, and they were.
And Valdez described I think did he go 4 corners in that game because y'all had fallen behind?
Yeah, we were struggling. So a really funny story is we're down pretty good. We're down probably 20. First half. Valdez, let's don't make this any worse. So we pull the ball out. John Harvill's at midcourt holding the ball. So John Harvill would always get his hand and do the bottom of his shoe with his hand. So he gets the ball, he holds it, he does his shoe, he puts it in the air, he lifts his other foot. So now he's lifted dust traveling. Yeah. The ref never called it. He lifted both feet, And the refs, I don't know what they must have been falling asleep. They were bored too, I guess. But we ended up taking the lead in the second half.
Oh my.
You know, it was so much trying to get, I think we exerted so much.
Yeah,
you
you climbed the hill.
Get that lead that they just kind of got it at the end, and give them a lot of credit. They were a good team.
Yeah, they always were back then. I remember Valdez telling me that Harvill hit a bank shot right before half. So y'all burned 4 minutes off the clock, and Harvill makes a bank shot to end the half. And then the second half, like you said, we took the lead, but I thought there was a play where you made a steal, got called for a charge, maybe fouled out or something. Do you remember any of that? Or maybe Herman?
It was a charge. Yeah, I didn't foul out, but I got a charge. The referee saw it that way. You just give him the ball and get back and try to get another steal, you know?
Right.
I mean, you're not going to change the ref's mind. And that was my mentality was, all right, I got to get another one. And unfortunately, it just didn't happen, you know, and kind of came up a little short. You always bring up the losses, man.
No, I'm going up all the good stuff, man. All the good stuff.
No, it's all good, man. It's all do me right, man. Do me right.
Do me right.
Oh man. Well, you know, and for people that don't know, you guys have brought the name Livingston Chapman, and Livingston Chapman is going to have a great career with the University of Florida Gators. He's about a 6'8" guy. You know, led I think Lakeland Kathleen to a state title 2 or 3 years later. So yeah, just a phenomenal player. So. JD, what was it like going up against a guy like that, man?
Well, it's funny because I played the 5 a little bit. Coach had some plays where I could really wheel and deal inside. So we got him in foul trouble late, and that's how kind of we made our little run. I just kind of posted up and would get the ball and just throw some stuff up and hope it went in and get fouled, you know. And so that's kind of how we were able to get back into it. And then he came back in. And just kind of took them to where they needed to be at the very end, man. But it was a heartbreaker, that's for sure. But it was a good game. You know, for the fans, it was a great game, back and forth, and excited. It was a lot of fun.
Man, I mean, just thinking back, I wasn't even there, and it sort of brings tears to your eyes thinking about the OGs and the end of that 3-year run. It's set Bayshore on its path of dynastic, you know, domination in Tampa. And
and that's what we talked about. You know, there actually was a lot of tears in the locker room because all of our after practice talks were done. You know, where we'd sit around for an hour or two in the locker room and just not even about basketball, just talking. You know, like, you know, we're just kids. You know, that's many moons ago, and I miss those times. But I do remember the conversation after Coach walked out and, you know, told us it was a great run. Just talking about how we hoped this would be something that would be carried on at least a few years. I had no idea it would lead to what it's led to. Like you guys coming behind us and just working hard and grinding like we did and trying to keep that tradition going. I took a lot of pride in that. And I was hoping.
Yeah, well, I tell you, man, if it wasn't for you guys, I mean, the bar was set so high with you guys that no one wanted to fall short, you know?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do. That means a lot because that was our goal after our sophomore year. Let's try and make something where the class is coming in. I didn't know it'd be for 30 years, but the class is coming in. You know, they'll also want to go to state and realize that they can do it, you know? So yeah, that means a lot when you say something like that. Yeah, for sure.
I had seen you guys, to me, y'all were always, you know, legends that I looked up to. And I know hanging out in class with Patterson, and I would see Blocher and Noriega in the hallways, but we would all look up to you. I remember the first time I saw you in a game was a preseason tip-off tournament with Tampa Catholic Jesuit. I had gone to watch the Bajo brothers at Rupp and another guy by the name of James Halleck. But just looking at Santiago and Edwards and Harvill, I mean, man, those were legends in my eyes. So we certainly love you and thank you for what you started for all of us.
Well, the check is in the mail. I appreciate all the compliments. It was a great run. It was a great time. And it just changed my life, not even basketball wise. It just changed the way my outlook on things. You know, I couldn't speak in front of people, but you know, when I got out, I had more confidence in myself away from the basketball court. You know, on the court, I was fine. That's really the only place I really felt comfortable was on the basketball court. But then when I left Bayshore, I just had confidence in myself that, I could do what I felt like I should do and do the right things,
That's really good. Yeah, Bayshore, as we've said all along, is such a special place. We're not quite done yet because we want to talk about your post-Bayshore career. As Kris Pate called it today, infancy to empire. So we've started the first 3 years of the empire, but you've graduated. I know Harvill got a scholarship to go to, I think, Bethel or somewhere like that. You ended up at
Palm Beach Atlantic down south.
Palm Beach Atlantic.
Yeah.
And then you went to Trinity, stayed in Chicago for some little pro hoops. Tell everybody watching about that experience after high school.
Well, I was going to try to get out of that, but you brought it up. Yeah, I went to Trinity College. I went to Tusculum for one semester. Things just didn't work out. I came home and I went off to Trinity in Chicago. They offered me a scholarship. So I went up there. When I get there, I'm just walking in the gym and there's a guy playing basketball, the football coach, who we must have played till like 2 a.m, just talking. Great guy. And I don't know, a lot of you may know him, a lot of you know. It's Leslie Frazier. He's now the defensive coordinator with the Buffalo Bills, but he's been the Vikings coach but he's just a great guy. We keep in touch now. And you talk about a man of God, there's nobody like Leslie Frazier. And so when I went to Trinity, it was kind of a continuation of Bayshore, the people wise, that just great people. And so even though he wasn't my basketball coach, me and Coach Frazier just really bonded. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was that basketball game. I don't know. That we just played all night and talked. And he asked, what are you doing up here? And I said, no, I don't, just being recruited. And they asked me to come visit. I'm like, what do you do here? He's like, well, I coach football and, I played with the 85 Bears team. And I'm like, what? I thought he was lying. But a funny story, I'm in his office one day and he's like, hey, if the phone rings, just, take a message. So the phone rings, I answer it and I'm like, hello, Coach Frazier's office. I'm like, yeah, he's not here, but can I take a message? He's like, yeah, tell him to call Michael. I'm like, okay, you have a last name? He's like, just tell him to call Michael. And I'm like, and the voice was actually, because I was in Chicago. I'm like, is this Jordan? He's like, yeah. He says, yeah, just tell him call Jordan. So I hang up and I'm like, Coach, Jordan just called. He's like, all right, I'll call him back. Don't worry about it. Like, what? Yeah, it was just crazy. Being a Packer fan, he would bring all the Bears around, like, Ditka and Singletary. Those guys were around all the time. And just great guys, though. Even though they were Bears, and I'm a Packer, not going well there, but just as people, just good people, competitive though, competitive, and that's what I like. They were good people, but they were just so competitive, and I love that. So I played my years, and I was fortunate enough to get a NBA free agent tryout in Chicago. They wanted me to go overseas, but I was married, and I had a kid. I was like, it's not about me anymore. And I feel like if I wouldn't have went to Bayshore, I probably would have just loaded everybody up and left. But I realized it's not about me anymore. I have a child, I'm married, so I just kind of didn't go overseas, and, the rest is history. But it was an exciting time. I came back, taught PE 25 years, did some radio with USF basketball, coached at St. Leo, coached at University of South Florida, basketball, and now I own a bakery. I'm here on the bakery now in Dade City.
Well, we want you to tell us about the bakery, but before you switch to the bakery, and we want you to tell us about it, tell us how you used to give back to Bayshore, how you felt about that. When you were with the Bulls, you're meeting Michael Jordan, you're able to ship down a bunch of stuff that we were able to auction for the school to raise money for the school, right?
You don't miss nothing, do you? Yeah. So it was the first time I really felt like, because I was working out with the Bulls. So it was the first time I felt like I could give back to Bayshore, who'd done so much for me. I get choked up just telling you right now. So we got some things that were signed and autographed and all that stuff. And I was able to tell Coach, hey, I'll send you this stuff. and they had I don't remember what fundraiser it was. You'd have to ask Coach, but they raised some good money back then, and it was a good feeling on my part just to know I was able to give back to what made me become the man I am today, and in the process of all the people there and the coaching staff who's just spent, they're a coaching staff, but they spent so many hours with you, Mr. Noriega and Coach Dibble and Lanier and Coach Valdez, just teaching you about life, much more than just basketball, and it was just a great experience, man. It was just wonderful.
That's so true. That's so true. As we wrap up, we'd like to hear about, you're a coach, you always keep coaching, giving back to kids, but you got your business behind you. Tell us about those wonderful Cuban sandwiches that you're going to send to Kris.
Yeah, well, Olga's Bakery, downtown Dade City. We are, it's been here since 1972. I took over about 2.5 years ago. It's had 3 owners, Olga, the original, and my friend Kris. And then Kris one day was just like, I'm ready to get out. You want to take over? So we figured something out. I taught for 25 years. I retired. And if you're ever in Dade City, just come on by Olga's, man. We'll take care of you. We got breakfast and lunches. We have, sandwiches, salads. And it's been around it's a mainstay in Dade City on Main Street here.
Hey, Pate, we've got 2 Bayshore alumni, Robbie Faedo and John J.D. Edwards, who have Cuban sandwiches. I think that we can have a special rankings of the top Cuban sandwiches.
I think that's a great idea. Hey, make sure these guys, they got to send us samples though, Steve. I mean, we need some fresh, authentic examples.
That's right.
Make an informed opinion. Make a good guess. But definitely, and next time I'm in Tampa, man, I'm going to hit Dade City for sure.
There you go. I love that. Yeah, I would love to see everybody, man. Y'all are some ranking fools. Y'all rank everything.
That's what we do, man. That's what we do.
Yeah, but I appreciate you guys, because the Bayshore page you guys have put together I just love it. I see a lot of names that just brings back memories from back in the day. It's been many moons, man, but it just brings back a lot of memories when I see some of even your sisters, Steve. It's crazy, and you can't friend them all because they're going to go, I don't even remember you, because just because I remember them, they don't remember me. I appreciate the hard work you 2 are doing on that. We've been blessed that y'all have taken that up and been able to do that.
Well, we appreciate that, Johnny. It was Chris's idea. It was Chris's idea.
Yeah, hey. It's like everything with Steve, you have an idea and you hand it up to him and he just kind of runs with you. So.
Yeah, hey, but he gives you credit though, so that's good. He's doing all right. I know, right? That's
because I keep threatening him if he doesn't.
yeah, that's great. But yeah, that was Bayshore was a special place and a special time for me. I hope it was for you guys and a lot of other people.
Oh yeah.
And I hope it's around for a long time. Honestly, I don't know what's going on there. But hopefully it's going to be around for many years and affect a lot of kids' lives. I know it affected mine, and it sounds like y'all's as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kris, you got anything to wrap up?
All right, where are we at, guys? Are we wrapping up here or what?
Yeah. Hey, we need to try and get some type of reunion. Not just basketball, just Bayshore people.
Yeah. I just read my mind, man. As a matter of fact, those were the next words out of my mouth.
Yeah, I would love that.
Well, John, thanks so much for your time tonight. As you just mentioned, we're going to try to have some kind of reunion here in the near future, hopefully within the next 6 months. Maybe looking at a January time frame, depending on everybody's schedule. I think homecoming is going to be around January 15th. So maybe do a 4-day weekend or something around that time frame. But we'll let you guys know. We'll keep you up to date. Again, John, JD, man, thank you so much. You really are one of the ones that just started this whole thing that's gone on for 36 years now. I mean, just if it wasn't for you and JoJo and John Harvill and Kenny Cox and, Staley being there, in 84, 85, I mean, none of this would even happen now. We probably wouldn't all be talking to each other. So, it's great, I mean, that's like you said, JD, it's a huge family, all of us are. So thank you so much for your time. Everybody needs to go out to Olga's Bakery in Dade City. Go see JD live.
Listen, I'd love to see Bayshore family. I don't care what year you graduated. Just come through. Just come on through. And if Miss Jordan's still listening, and Mary Brown, I love you guys. Y'all were a big influence on I tell them that all the time, so it's nothing new. They know that. But now I can say it publicly as well. So I appreciate it. They were a big influence in my life. Yeah, they really were. Appreciate you guys too. Thank you. Love you guys.
Thanks so much. Yeah. Hey, Miss Jordan, we love you. We all do. Thank you so much for all you've done for each and every one of us. One thing I forgot to mention at the beginning, I'll go ahead and hit it at the end, is that we are the unofficial Bayshore page. We are in no way affiliated with Bayshore Christian's official alumni page or Bayshore Christian School. So all the opinions on this show are clearly those of ours, the host, and the interviewees. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it, guys. Have a great night, and we'll try to see you maybe next week or in a week or two. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.